Alors bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue à cette conférence de presse. S'il vous plaît, pouvez-vous éteindre vos cellulaires et BlackBerry parce que les BlackBerry viennent en interférence avec les micros. Merci. Vous assisterez aujourd'hui à la conférence de presse conjointe entre l'Université Concordia et la Congrégation des Sœurs Grises de Montréal. Avant de céder la parole au vice-recteur au service, Michael Di Grappa, je voudrais vous signaler que dans vos dossiers de presse, vous trouverez un ordre de déroulement assez détaillé, ainsi que le contenu du CD-ROM, ceci pour les médias électroniques. Ainsi que l'ordre de déroulement, bien sûr, bien détaillé. Au cours de la conférence de presse, il y aura une série d'allocutions qui seront suivies d'une présentation visuelle et ensuite on passera à la période de questions. Dans vos pochettes, vous trouvez également les titres de tous les intervenants des allocutions. J'invite M. Michael Di Grappa, vice-recteur au service, à venir vous prendre la parole. Il sera votre maître de cérémonie.
Merci, Evelyne. Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Bienvenue à cette importante conférence de presse pour l'Université Concordia et pour les Sœurs Grises de Montréal. Mon nom est Michael Di Grappa et je suis vice-recteur au service de l'Université Concordia. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and welcome to this press conference of major importance to Concordia University and to the Sisters of Charity of Montreal. My name is Michael Di Grappa and I am Vice-Rector Services at Concordia University. Je tiens à saluer d'abord tous les gens qui se sont déplacés ici aujourd'hui, les représentantes des Sœurs Grises, nos représentants gouvernementaux, ainsi que les amis de Concordia. Mais plus particulièrement, je tiens à saluer le cardinal M. Jean-Claude Turcotte, archevêque de Montréal, abbé Claude Surmel de la Fondation du patrimoine religieux, Monseigneur Anthony Mancini, membre du comité responsable des édifices excédentaire dans le cadre des aménagements pastoraux. S'il est là, je le salue quand même, merci. Et Mme Louise O'Sullivan, conseillère municipale à la Ville de Montréal et membre du comité exécutif. Bienvenue. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank and pay particular Mr. Jonathan Wener, chair of the university's Real Estate Planning Committee, whose vision and commitment are largely responsible for the success of the project we will present to you shortly. Permettez-moi de vous rappeler que depuis quelques années, l'Université Concordia s'est développée à un rythme accéléré. Et ce développement nous a incité à chercher de nouveaux emplacements pour accueillir notre clientèle de plus en plus importante. Last September, we inaugurated the $85 million Richard J. Renault Science Complex on the Loyola campus. This summer, we begin a $20 million transformation of the Drummond Building, also at Loyola, and in the spring 2005, we will open the $170 million Integrated Engineering, Computer Science, and Visual Arts Building, as well as break ground on a new $100 million building for the John Molson School of Business. In all, Concordia University is committing $400 million to develop state-of-the-art teaching and research facilities that will benefit its students, professors, and staff. Il me fait grand plaisir de vous présenter, à ce moment, Dr. Frederick Lowy, recteur et vice-chancelier de l'Université Concordia, et Sœur Aurore Larkin, supérieure générale des Sœurs Grises, qui partageront avec vous nos projets futurs. Please welcome Dr. Frederick Lowy, rector and vice-chancellor of Concordia University, and Sister Aurore Larkin, superior general of the Sisters of Charity of Montreal.
Votre Éminence, ladies and gentlemen, on a décidé de partager l'ouvrage. Moi, je prendrai la parole en anglais, Sir Larkin en français. So, getting right to it, good morning. My name is Frederick Lowy. I'm Rector and Vice Chancellor of Concordia University.
Et bonjour, je suis Sœur Aurore Larkin, supérieure générale des Sœurs Grises de Montréal.
As Vice Rector Di Grappa just did, I also would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all and to say another word about the outstanding leadership and hard work that Jonathan Wener and his real estate committee of our Board of Governors has done. His leadership has been outstanding, and I believe that without his remarkable qualities, this and many of the other projects that Mr. Di Grappa just mentioned would not have occurred.
Et aussi pour moi d'ajouter la satisfaction et le plaisir que nous avons eu de travailler avec vous, M. Wener. Merci beaucoup.
So we are here today to announce that the university and the Sisters of Charity, the Grey Nuns, have reached agreement on the acquisition by the university of the Mother House, and as you know probably, it is situated on the land bordered by Rue Guy Street, René Lévesque Boulevard, St. Matthew, and just behind the Faubourg on St. Catherine Street. It will become the newest part of the Quartier Concordia, which now extends from just below Sherbrooke Street. It will extend to Boulevard René Lévesque, and from Bishop Street in the east to Guy at the northern part, and to St. Matthew at the southern part. We're counting on all partners involved to bring this important project to fruition, and I am full confidence that this will happen. You know, the sisters and the university have been close and good neighbors for 30 years. And over the next 2 decades, we're going to share the Mother House with them through 4 distinct phases, much the same way as we have shared with the Jesuit Fathers our Loyola campus since Concordia was created in 1974.
Et nous voulons vous annoncer aussi que cette proposition de cohabitation a été bien reçue par les membres de la congrégation.
Now, as you know, Concordia University this year is celebrating its 30th anniversary, 30 years already. The university has grown at a remarkable clip, at a steady pace, to a level where, at the moment, space is at a premium. And even when the new construction that Mr. Di Grappa mentioned is complete, we will still need more space. And besides which, you know, we plan for next year, for 5 years, but really for 50 or longer, 50 years or longer. So in the long run, we do need more space. So that basically, we turn to the Grey Nuns for help. We've, of course, had our eye on this magnificent property immediately to the south of the Faubourg Tower, which we own and occupy. And we looked at the green space with a great deal of envy and anticipation, and we turned for help to the sisters.
Et comme le dit le dicton, allez chez les sœurs grises, elles ne refusent rien. Nous n'avons pu qu'acquiescer à leurs vœux. L'Université Concordia, de par sa mission reconnue d'accessibilité aux étudiants adultes de toute origine, forme une alliance naturelle avec les Sœurs Grises et respecte la mission de Sainte Marguerite Diouville, notre fondatrice, qui n'excluait personne. Si vous voulez, remontons un peu dans le passé pour vous parler des personnes et des œuvres que cette maison a abritées. Lorsque nous avons quitté l'hôpital général des Frères Charron en 1871 pour venir habiter à la maison mère actuelle, c'était aussi à cause de besoins croissants d'espace pour loger et abriter des personnes dans le besoin. Vous savez que l'aile Saint-Mathieu de la maison mère a abrité au cours de 133 ans les enfants de la crèche, des orphelins et des orphelines, des personnes âgées, les enfants, des personnes âgées de 2 sexes, des couples et des dames pensionnaires, un hôpital militaire pour les soldats de la guerre de 14 à 18, une école ménagère devenue affiliée à l'Université de Montréal et l'Institut Marguerite Diouville pour la formation supérieure des infirmières. Et aussi, du côté de la rue Guy, en plus des locaux pour nos sœurs, nous avons eu un juvénat pour la formation de jeunes filles, une école normale pour la préparation de futures enseignantes. À certaines époques, nous étions près de 1000 personnes dans cette grande maison. Depuis la Révolution tranquille, comme vous le savez, les œuvres éducatives et sociales ont été prises en charge par le gouvernement. Mais comme nos devancières, nous tenons à apporter une réponse aux besoins actuels. Voilà pourquoi la demande d'espace par l'Université Concordia a été bien accueillie, puisqu'elle nous permet de continuer à favoriser à la fois une œuvre d'éducation et un regain de vie dans cette grande maison.
And sister, we are very, very grateful to you and to your congregation. We know that in acquiring this building, we assume a very great responsibility, a responsibility to respect, preserve, and where necessary, where possible, to enhance one of Montreal's architectural and heritage jewels. And we will certainly do our best to do just that.
Et si le vocable de Saint-Ignace de Loyola, que l'on retrouve inscrit à l'entrée du collège Loyola, est « a man for others », celui de Sainte Marguerite Diouville, notre fondatrice, serait sans contredit « a woman of all time », mother of universal charity, mère à la charité universelle. Son œuvre est donc actualisée par ce projet.
I'm happy to be able to tell you that both the government of Quebec and the city of Montreal have reacted very, very favorably to the news that you're hearing this morning. And we have here with us Councillor O'Sullivan, who's representing the city, but Mayor Tremblay extends his best wishes to Les Sœurs Grises and to the university. So we are very, very pleased about this, and we will require the help of both levels of government in the years to come.
Merci.
Thank you, Dr. Lowy and Sister Larkin. Je passe maintenant le micro à Christopher Jackson, doyen de la Faculté des Beaux-Arts, qui vous fera une présentation visuelle de nos futures installations sur nos campus, incluant la résidence de la Maison Mère des Sœurs Grises dans le cœur du quartier Concordia. Please welcome Christopher Jackson, the Dean of the Faculty of Fine Arts, who will present to you a number of our future projects, including the Mother House of the Grey Nuns in the heart of the Quartier Concordia.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Di Grappa. Chers amis, Votre Éminence, it's a great day for this university to be acquiring such a magnificent place, an icon of Montreal's architecture. Peut-être plus que toutes les autres universités à Montréal, Concordia a connu le changement depuis ses débuts. C'est le mariage entre deux institutions très différentes, c'est-à-dire Sir George Williams College et le Collège Loyola, qui a marqué les débuts de Concordia. Et c'était un véritable apprentissage de comment vivre avec le changement. It's also not surprising that at the very beginnings of Loyola College, the Jesuits chose to inspire themselves by the, it's not loud enough? Sorry. By their roots, their European roots in designing Loyola College, which we have conserved to this very day. The Jesuit presence here in Quebec started back in the 17th century. Concordia inherited one of its most important landmarks in the Loyola campus. And 100 years later, as you can see, we have maintained that same architecture by extending it to the new buildings. You see from this image that we have completed what the Jesuits originally intended in the westernmost quadrangle of the Loyola campus by building the new complexes for the sciences. The Rick Renaud Science Complex just recently opened, and soon to come, the Drummond Science Building renovation, which will become the final part of that western quadrangle of the Loyola campus. The downtown campus, however, was not so lucky. Le campus Sir George Williams n'a jamais eu le planning urbain que Loyola a connu. C'est un campus qui a été articulé autour du boulevard de Maisonneuve, avec évidemment le Hall Building que tout le monde connaît, suivi par le bâtiment de la bibliothèque. Cette problématique du campus central en ville nous a interpellés sérieusement, vu le manque d'identité. And so the university entered into a planning exercise and developed what is now called Quartier Concordia. This has been stimulated by the appearance of a lot of new buildings, the buildings mentioned by Rector Michael Di Grappa earlier, and of course the potential for the future development with the Grey Nuns. The Quartier Concordia is meant to give an identity to the downtown campus of Concordia University, while accentuating the identity of the university itself. It also will go a long way to improving the downtown core. And it is our hope that we will be able to do this in a much more grandiose fashion by extending our campus even further south. As you can see, Concordia, as was mentioned earlier, is in a very strong building program. The two buildings you have in front of you, the Engineering and Fine Arts Complex, are only part of this program. This is the John Molson School of Business, which will be on Guy Street. And finally, the redecorating or the exterior renovation of what we know as the GM building, the Guy Metro building. This together now forms a complex of buildings which is going to have a new identity through this project to put into place the Quartier Concordia. Originally, before we had discussions with the Grey Nuns, the Quartier Concordia was circumscribed by Guy Street, de Maisonneuve, Sherbrooke, and Bishop. We have been entering into discussions with several community organizations, and together the planning points now to a very clearly and unified campus on the downtown core. This latest development, however, extends that campus dramatically. As you can see, we will be almost doubling the land area that Concordia University occupies by the acquisition of the Grey Nuns. It will give it a stylistic unity, and of course, as the rector mentioned earlier, a tremendous improvement on our green spaces, which are pretty well non-existent. Les Sœurs Grises contient une partie significative de l'histoire sociale de Montréal et architecturale aussi. C'était dessiné par Victor Bourgault, le premier architecte canadien-français qui a construit plus que 250 églises au Québec. C'est une responsabilité très importante pour l'université de conserver cette grande architecture parce qu'elle représente non seulement un monument à la ville, à l'histoire du Québec, mais aussi à tous les artisans qui ont travaillé, ceux qui ont travaillé à construire la maison, les musiciens et tous ceux qui ont travaillé en dedans. It's an important symbol, and the university takes this very seriously. It perhaps is one of our castles. As Cardinal Turcotte mentioned at a press conference I attended some time ago, in Quebec we didn't build castles, we built churches and we built convents. This is one of Quebec's castles, and the university takes this responsibility very seriously. C'est des images historiques de la complexe des Sœurs Grises. Et comme on vous a mentionné plus tôt, il y aurait graduellement une occupation à travers les prochaines 15 ans des différents secteurs de cette complexe. Alors, en commençant par le côté ouest, et comme vous voyez sur le plan sur l'écran, sur les 15 ans prochains, on occupe de plus en plus le complexe. We believe that Concordia, we're in a history which lives cheek to cheek with modernity, it seems all the more fitting that we finish this off with reminding you of Concordia's own motto, Concordia Salus, meaning well-being through harmony. We've found a common thread between our two institutions. I think we are creating a very important and colorful addition to Montreal's already very diverse mosaic, and especially Concordia's. It's a perfect fit, and we are delighted to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Jackson. J'invite maintenant M. Jonathan Wener, président du comité sur l'immobilier du conseil d'administration de l'Université Concordia, à vous adresser la parole. Please welcome Mr. Jonathan Wener, the chair of Concordia University's Real Estate Planning Committee.
Merci, Michael. C'est un grand plaisir de ser ici aujourd'hui. I have a great deal of excitement in my heart because for me, Concordia has always been home. It's a very special place, and we've just made it twice the size. In fact, one of the most interesting statistics that we came up with when we were looking at downtown campus was to find out that, in fact, the Sur Grise property doubles the size of the downtown campus by in excess of 20,000 feet. So we've more than doubled the downtown campus with this marvelous addition. I recall it was just 3 years ago when we met first, Dr. Lowy and myself, with Sister Larkin, and I told Dr. Lowy that when we went, what we were going to do was just to plant a seed in the hope that over the next 20 years one might be successful and that we might have the good fortune to be able to develop a partnership with the sisters that could evolve in the university eventually expanding. And we had developed a 20-year plan and hoped that this would be the evolution over a 20-year period. Well, God has strange ways, and the 20-year plan became a 3-year plan. And I remember my wife once telling me that the 5-year plan that I had, Stalin's didn't work and mine wasn't going to work either. So the 20-year plan didn't work. And Sister Larkin, I guess a year later, said to us, we'd like to continue discussions. And we started to develop a framework, and I think last September, we jointly worked through a letter of intent and developed a true sense of partnership, and negotiations proceeded from there. I must say the spirit, and I realize, having done several of these before, how sensitive and how emotional this is for the sisters who live and work and have resided at the Mother House for all these years. The sense of charity, of kindness and spirit to be able to allow the university to not just buy, because that's difficult enough, but cohabitate and to allow for a fair and equitable, proper residency for both sides, respecting each other's privacy and respecting each other's mission is truly a wonderful undertaking. And as it has been said, we had this at Loyola, and we have the opportunity again, thanks to the graciousness and charity of the sisters, to deal with us. Because, quite frankly, they could have gone the commercial route, but we all know so well their mission has been in healthcare and has been in education, and this does allow us to continue their mission in a most interesting way. And I think in that respect, I'm really pleased to see the building being used in the way that we are. A special thanks to Sister Larkin and to all the other sisters who worked with us at the negotiating table and to do the planning of the partition of the properties, and to all of the consultants of the sister and to the consultants and members of the Real Estate Planning Committee of the university who worked so hard to ensure that this is a success. I think we have many challenges ahead because there's an awful lot of work to do as we go forward on our due diligence. We did spend close to a year of due diligence prior to today's date in order to ensure that we didn't embark on something that we didn't think we could complete. And I think we are well on the road, but there's a great deal of work yet to be done and an awful lot of work in coordination with our various levels of government to ensure that this is successful for both the sisters, the church, and for the university. I think the fact that it's a gradual investment over time, and I think that I think I pushed the wrong button. There we go. Which one? Did you want to go to the slide? Yeah. Which one? See, they override me all the time. The phasing that you see allows for us over the 15-year period, the most important phase being the first phase, which basically has a natural break to it. As you can see, there's an entrance somewhere over by H, I believe. Am I seeing probably, or is it N? N. There is an entrance off St. Matthew, which allows the property to be entered on St. Matthew, to be divided naturally, where you see the second tone, phase 2, and for us to have considerable green space right up where you see phase 1, which essentially will be shared with the community at large. It seems that any green space in Montreal does get shared by so many because it is there. And then eventually phase 2, which I believe it's 2011, and that includes the chapel as well as additional facilities, and then eventually phase 3 and phase 4. And this has been worked on a very considered basis mutually between the two parties in order to allow for the graceful retirement of the sisters into other facilities as they feel they no longer have need of the facilities. So I think it's worked out extremely well, and I think that we can both be very, very proud of where we are today. I thank you, Sister Larkin, from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the Concordia community, and look forward to working with you for many, many years ahead. It would not be reasonable to not end today with a benediction. So given that we have the pleasure of Cardinal Turcotte here, je vous invite pour donner une bénédiction pour cet événement aujourd'hui. Merci.
Alors, chers amis, c'est la première fois qu'il m'arrive de faire une bénédiction d'une conférence de presse. Mais je pense que l'événement vaut la peine d'être souligné parce que depuis plusieurs centaines d'années, la présence des Sœurs Grises à Montréal est une présence de charité, de service rendu aux besoins de la population. Aujourd'hui, qu'elles sont moins nombreuses, moins capables de prendre les charges qui leur sont confiées, elles ont trouvé ce moyen absolument extraordinaire de continuer leur activité caritative auprès de Montréal en se départissant graduellement de leur immeuble. Je tiens à dire que pour moi, c'est un événement à souligner. C'est un événement heureux et j'espère qu'on aura encore beaucoup de ces événements-là dans le futur de notre grande ville. I want to thank the Grey Nuns and say a little prayer of thanksgiving for the wonderful project they have worked with Concordia University. In a way, they're going to continue their action of charity in Montreal, and for the education field, I think it's a very important project, and I'm happy to say thanks to God for that, and I hope that cohabitation during a few years going to be under the protection of God in order to avoid all the difficulties. And also, I hope that the City of Montreal, the education field, Concordia University and the Grey Nuns will succeed in that wonderful project. Thank you very much.
Alors, merci Cardinal Turcotte, merci à tous les intervenants. Nous passons à la période de questions, d'abord en français, ensuite en anglais. S'ajouteront aux intervenants qui ont présenté des allocutions aujourd'hui certaines personnes en avant, comme Martine Lehoux, directrice de la planification, M. Marcel Dany, vice-recteur aux relations institutionnelles et secrétaire général, M. Peter Bolla, qui répondront aussi à vos questions, ainsi que ceux qui sont intervenus, comme je l'ai rappelé précédemment. Alors, nous pouvons passer à la période de questions. Oui. Chris, micro là-bas en haut. Merci. Si vous pouvez vous identifier et le média que vous représentez.
Oui, bonjour, je suis Audrey Ducharme, je suis journaliste à Concordia, à TVA, une diplômée de Concordia aussi. J'ai deux questions. D'abord, Monsieur Lowy, vous avez parlé de l'aide des gouvernements fédéral et provincial pour mener à bien ce projet. J'aimerais savoir, qu'attendez-vous des gouvernements?
Bon, Madame, j'ai parlé de deux niveaux de gouvernement, c'est-à-dire le gouvernement du Québec et de la ville de Montréal. On n'a pas parlé aux autorités fédéraux. Alors, on n'a pas encore commencé des négociations précises, mais j'imagine que et le gouvernement du Québec et le gouvernement de la ville de Montréal seront intéressés à préserver le patrimoine qui représente ce magnifique édifice et on aura besoin de leur assistance.
Et si je pouvais demander à Sœur Larkin, il y a beaucoup de personnes qui ont fait allusion au fait que c'est pour les Sœurs Grises, c'est une question très, très émotive. Vous êtes là depuis longtemps. Qu'est-ce que ça représente pour vous? Et vous avez fait allusion un petit peu, mais j'aimerais que vous élaboriez un peu sur ça. Le fait de maintenant de décider de céder la place, de céder cet espace, et pourquoi avoir justement choisi Concordia?
Voilà, merci beaucoup. Vous savez que la maison mère, pour nous, n'a pas de prix. Hein? Ça n'a pas de prix. C'est une maison, c'est plus qu'une maison parce que ça a été le lieu d'œuvres que nous avons fait ensemble. C'est une maison qui a été bâtie par nos femmes, par nos devancières. Et puis, c'est le grand chez nous de 574 femmes. La maison mère, tout le monde, toutes les sœurs grises, chacune des sœurs grises a une attache bien spécifique à la maison mère. Puis vous savez qu'à la maison mère, on n'a jamais vécu seul. On n'a jamais vécu seulement les sœurs. On a toujours eu des œuvres à la maison mère, et encore, il y a des œuvres à la maison mère. Donc, de se voir diminuer, on réalise très clairement que nous sommes dans une période de décroissance très rapide, et puis, donc, ça vient nous chercher de savoir que petit à petit, on délaisse, c'est-à-dire que la maison mère ne sera plus à nous, tout entier, si vous voulez. Donc, émotionnellement, c'est bien sûr que vous êtes tous d'accord que c'est quelque chose qui peut venir nous chercher à ce moment de notre histoire. Mais, par contre, avec l'exemple de nos devancières, nous voulons continuer à bâtir cette mission qui, comme le cardinal a fait allusion, des centaines d'années que nous sommes à Montréal, à servir la population de Montréal. Et en faisant ce partenariat avec l'Université Concordia, nous continuons une œuvre éducative très importante pour Montréal. Donc, c'est une continuation, mais une continuation où on se départit d'un immeuble que nous avons bâti, que nos femmes, nos devancières ont bâti, je voudrais dire, pierre par pierre. Merci.
Merci, Sœur Larkin. Merci, Madame Ducharme. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions?
Bonjour, Valérie Dufour du Journal de Montréal. J'avais d'abord une question. Je veux savoir combien de sœurs habitent présentement dans le bâtiment Et deuxièmement, je voulais avoir les détails financiers de l'entente que vous avez signée aujourd'hui.
Pour ce qui est du nombre de sœurs à la maison mère, je crois que c'est 230, quelques-unes, dans le moment présent. Pour ce qui est de la question financière, j'aimerais passer la question à M. Di Grappa. C'était un processus très bien stipulé, un processus avec lequel nous nous sentons très à l'aise. Mais M. Di Grappa serait en meilleure mesure de vous répondre.
Merci, Sir Larkin. Les parties ont évalué la propriété à un montant de 18 millions de dollars. La transaction, comme on l'a mentionné, se fera en phase et les montants seront déboursés au prorata de la pourcentage de la superficie qui va être occupée par Concordia. Alors, ça débute en 2007 et c'est prévu pour la dernière phase d'être transférée en février 2022.
Merci. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions en français? Oui, Madame Ducharme.
J'aimerais avoir plus d'informations sur aussi donc on a assuré que le caractère architectural, patrimonial serait conservé. Est-ce qu'on peut avoir un peu plus d'informations sur comment ça va s'intégrer? Est-ce qu'on va tout conserver? Bon, je pense que la chapelle est classée monument historique. Est-ce que l'ensemble de ce qui existe actuellement est historique? Et comment, je ne sais pas qui peut nous donner des informations à ce sujet-là.
Je pense que Madame Martine Lehoux va pouvoir répondre à cette question. S'il vous plaît, il était censé avoir un petit micro en avant. Désolée.
Oui, bonjour. Nous sommes vraiment aux étapes très, très préliminaires en termes de planification et d'aménagement. Évidemment, nous sommes très conscients du caractère historique du bâtiment. Présentement, l'intérieur de la chapelle est classé. L'extérieur ne l'est pas, mais évidemment, c'est notre intérêt de préserver au maximum le bâtiment. Alors, on a développé différents scénarios d'occupation et encore une fois, nous sommes aux étapes très conceptuelles, très, très préliminaires de transformation du bâtiment.
Merci, Martine. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres? Oui, allez-y. En anglais. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions en français, Monsieur Couture? Je ne voyais pas Monsieur Couture. Est-ce qu'il en avait? Non. D'accord. Bon, non. Très bien. Alors, on va passer à la période de questions en anglais. Please.
Jessica Brown with 940 News. I have a couple of questions, if I could start with Sister Larkin. First of all, I'm sorry to be repetitive. Obviously, for our English audience, we need to have a couple of answers in English. But my colleague was asking you about the emotion involved in something like this. And I would also assume that being prime real estate, it's not the first time you've had an offer, and it's probably not the biggest offer you've ever had. So why Concordia, and how are all the 230 some odd nuns that are left there feeling about eventually leaving that historic building that they've occupied for so long?
Well, it is an emotional moment, as what I said in French. And of course, the sisters that are in the house at this time have always been kept informed of the transaction that were meant to happen. It's not a decision of myself or my colleagues here. It's a decision that was taken from our general chapter, which is the highest authority on the congregation, that we needed to do something about our real estate, about our properties, because of our diminishment. It's basically because of our diminishment. And the sisters that are living at the Mother House at this time, we are well aware, because of our actuarial studies, that as we hit the 20 years, as we go along, we will be much less, many more less. And therefore, we will be able at that time to relocate the people that will be there at the time.
And the 18 million from Concordia, like I said, it's prime real estate. You've probably been offered more. Can you just go into some explanation why you chose Concordia?
We chose Concordia because it fits in with our mission, basically. As I said, it's not a matter of dollars. Of course, we need the dollars for the care of our sisters and to continue our works of charity. But our primary reason not to go into high real estate was because we wanted to remain faithful to the mission that we have accomplished over all these 2.5 centuries.
And we feel very privileged at the university that the sisters really have taken this point of view.
Can I just ask a quick historical question? I could be mistaken, but I was under the understanding that part of the reason that for so long that you had never accepted an offer was that, is it a final resting place as well, that building? And what will happen? Will that final resting place be moved for the people that are there now? And how do you, just in general, how do you plan on dealing with certain situations like that, which are fairly delicate?
There's a whole process in place already to deal with that situation. We do have a crypt at the Mother House, and the remains of our sisters will be transferred at some point in time when that happens. And there's a whole canonical and a whole civil process already begun to deal with that. There's to move the remains, we need to have a process in terms there's civil laws as far as removing remains, and there's also for us canonical laws, church laws to remove those remains. And that is in process and will happen.
Yes, please.
I'm Jennifer Fine from CFCF. I'm wondering how for the next 15 years you plan to coexist in certain parts, or am I missing? Is there a plan worked out that way?
We have not worked out a specific plan, but as always, when I said that we've never lived alone in that house, and therefore we will find means and ways to be able to live in harmony with University Concordia, and I'm sure that they will also maintain their promises so that we can live, that the sisters can live, I want to say on our side of the house, and in all intimacy, you know, and try to provide that as best and for as long as we can.
When will students be entering? The life of a university student is much different than that of a nun.
Well, first of all, we do not take occupancy of the West Wing, the St. Matthew Wing, until 2007. That gives us a fair amount of time to plan the precise details. But the intention is that there be an actual physical separation between the area that we occupy and the area that the sisters will continue to occupy. This will permit interaction where it's mutually beneficial, but will also respect privacy at the same time. We also are very mindful of the fact that the university activities to be located there have to respect the tradition and lifestyle of the sisters, and we fully intend to do that.
Monsieur Jonathan Wener veut rajouter quelque chose?
In addition to what Dr. Lowy just said, there was a great deal of effort that went into the physical separation and studies that have been completed for proper soundproofing, for proper fire protection. There are examples of many buildings of this scale and size that are cohabitated by different groups. It's a very, very large edifice. It's over 340,000 feet. And if you can imagine apartment buildings or commercial buildings all over the place are all used to this kind of physical separation. In addition, with the sisters, we've worked out a program for the physical separation of the green space so that there is in fact a proper delineation with fencing, proper black wrought iron fencing that is in accordance with the kind of fencing that's there today, so that, again, people's spaces can be properly respected and privacy maintained.
Peggy Curran, The Gazette. Thank you, Mr. Wener.
I had two questions. The first, I guess, is for Dr. Lowy. This is a huge building, and so far you've only talked about the performing arts being in it. Have you thought about what else will be in that building?
You know, the Faculty of Fine Arts of this university is the largest of its kind in Canada. It comprises performing arts and various visual arts. Right now they're scattered. The visual arts, to some extent, will be concentrated in the new building at the corner, the one under construction at the corner of St. Catherine and Mackay Streets. However, that will not be sufficient for all of the visual arts. For example, our cinema program, which is one of our premier programs, is now located in the Faubourg Tower, immediately to the north of the property that we're now talking about. Some of the visual arts are currently in rented spaces, which we hope to get out of, so that the visual arts alone will occupy a fair amount of space eventually, and the performing arts that currently are located both in our space at Loyola and in nearby rented space on the Loyola campus will ultimately move to this location. And I believe that the entire Faculty of Fine Arts, even in its present configuration, and not to speak of what it may be like in the future, will occupy most, if not all, of the structure.
Okay.
May I just add, I'm sorry, Ms. Kern, that up until today, this transaction was unknown to most people in the university. So obviously there are still some processes that need to be followed within the university with respect to consultation with the faculties and the academic community. That is certainly the direction that we're leaning in, but we don't, or leaning towards, but we have not made absolute final decisions as to what parts of fine arts. But as Dr. Lowy says, there is more than enough need there within the faculty itself to occupy the entire building eventually.
Okay. My second question was for Cardinal Turcotte. I don't know if he wants to talk, but he mentioned before that he hoped that this was sort of the beginning of a trend of cohabitation, and I'm wondering whether he sees this as the future for the church in Montreal, because there are so many buildings, so many convents that need to be taken over, and would he rather that they are taken over by schools than by condos?
Well, I'm not the prophet, but I think success like that should be an example for many, many other projects. I have launched the idea many years ago that before constructing any new building for municipal, provincial, or federal ways, we should look at the patrimonial buildings we have in Montreal. So I hope that that project, like the one we have also with the University of Montreal and the Sister of Jésus Marie on the mountain, will be an example to follow. It's not so easy with churches, because the church are not so malleable. It's not easy to transform a church, but I think it will be a very good way to study how in that project we can use that patrimonial buildings we have in Montreal. And for me, it's a very good example, and I hope it's going to be followed.
Merci, Cardinal Turcotte. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions? Yes, please, go ahead.
Question about funding. You talked very, very briefly that Montreal and Quebec would be involved, but this is a huge project. How much are they going to be involved? How much is this going to cost?
$18 million will be the price of the land and buildings, and as has already been said, we will.
What about the renovations? Because it's an older building, so I know the acquisition itself is $18 million, but the renovation of such a large structure to make it facilitate these particular faculties, I'm assuming it's going to be quite costly.
You're absolutely right. As has been pointed out by Mr. Di Grappa, we are just now that it's public, that the information is public, we are now going to set about planning in greater detail. And at that point, the actual costs of renovation will become clearer than they are now. And we will then, depending on the circumstances, seek help from the places where we now get help from our construction projects, namely our donors and alumni, our own community at the university, the governments involved, and the private sector as well. But pardon?
Any estimate?
No, not at this point, but Mr. Di Grappa may wish to say something further on this point.
Well, again, depending on the specific usage, and our preliminary estimates indicate in the tens of millions of dollars, could be upwards of $50 million. Over the 15 to 17 year, depending on when you start, from 2007 to 2022, we're looking in that order of magnitude. preliminary estimates, I remind you.
Si c'est tout, merci à tous d'être venus. Merci aux journalistes qui se sont déplacés et aux Sœurs Grises, à nos invités. Je demanderai aux journalistes de vous adresser à Christine Mota, Nadia Kerif, si vous voulez obtenir des entrevues individuelles avec les gens qui sont intervenus aujourd'hui. Thank you very much and have a nice day.